Welcome to Global Intelligence Weekly Wrap-Up, the podcast that decodes the world's most critical intelligence and national security developments. With years of experience in intelligence and law enforcement, Neil Bisson, Director of the Global Intelligence Knowledge Network and retired intelligence officer with the Canadian Security Intelligence Service, offers insider analysis that goes beyond the headlines. This week, U.S. intelligence is in hot water as Denmark demands answers over reports that American spy agencies have been closely monitoring Greenland's independence movement and rare earth resources. Meanwhile, China warns against infiltration and sabotage in response to new CIA recruitment efforts targeting Chinese officials, raising the stakes in an already tense intelligence battle between Beijing and Washington. Back in North America, political and operational conflicts are brewing, as the FBI director reverses course on budget concerns, following a proposed White House cut of $545 million. In Germany, domestic intelligence is caught in legal limbo, as the Federal Security Agency pauses its designation of the far-right AfD party as an extremist organization, pending a court ruling that could reshape surveillance priorities. Across the Atlantic, UK authorities foil a suspected Iranian terror plot aimed at the Israeli embassy in London, while Iran vehemently denies involvement. Additionally, Neil takes a deeper dive into the Bulgarian-led spying network, revealing their daring methods of espionage that included fake identities, covert surveillance devices, and international intelligence operations. All that and more. Now let's get started.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Global Intelligence Weekly Wrap-Up. I'm your host, Neil Bisson. With over 25 years of national security and intelligence experience, I bring you the news and the stories that matter most. From reports that the US is spying on Greenland, to foiled terror attacks against Israeli embassy in London, it's been another busy week in the world of international espionage. So let's dive in. For our first story this week, we turn our attention to the Arctic, where diplomatic tensions are rising between Denmark and the United States. Denmark has summoned the U.S. ambassador after a report in the Wall Street Journal alleged that the American spy agencies have been instructed to focus intelligence gathering on Greenland, particularly its independence movement and rare earth resources. As you'll see, this isn't just another real estate deal. It's about global power, resources, and influence. At the center of this report is the claim that U.S. intelligence services have been actively collecting information related to Greenland's political future and resource potential. The story, which broke in the Wall Street Journal, has since made international waves. Denmark's Foreign Minister, Lars Løkke Rasmussen, expressed alarm stating, "We don't spy on friends." While U.S. officials haven't outright denied spying, their silence and political posturing, including a sharp rebuttal from Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, suggests there's definitely some fire beneath this smoke. From an intelligence perspective, this is a significant revelation. Greenland has long been a strategic location for the United States, hosting a military base since World War II. But Trump-era ambitions to acquire Greenland, combined with its vast mineral wealth and emerging independence movement, have elevated its importance on the global stage. For U.S. intelligence, this likely represents both a security concern and a resource opportunity. Greenland is an autonomous territory within the Kingdom of Denmark, governing its own domestic affairs, while foreign and defense policies remain Copenhagen's domain. This dual governance creates a layered vulnerability. Foreign actors can exploit independent sentiment while navigating a unique legal and diplomatic gray zone. This isn't the first time Greenland has attracted geopolitical interest. In 2019, Trump publicly floated the idea of purchasing the island, sparking backlash from both Denmark and Greenlandic leaders. But behind the scenes, U.S. intelligence appears to have quietly continued efforts to assess Greenland's internal politics and resource viability, especially rare earth minerals, which are crucial to high-tech manufacturing and increasingly seen as a national security asset. The Wall Street Journal report is causing ripples because of what it reveals and what it implies. Intelligence gathering on allies happens more often than most would care to admit, but it usually is cloaked in layered discretion and plausible deniability. Public exposure like this complicates diplomacy and risks political blowback and condemnation from other allies. Tulsi Gabbard's aggressive defense of the administration and accusations of media politicization reflect deeper tensions within the U.S. about how intelligence operations intersect with political goals. I have previously discussed how the Trump administration has chosen to refocus intelligence priorities on critical resource acquisition in the Western Hemisphere. This is a wake-up call for all allies of the United States, especially Canada, which has been referenced several times by President Trump as a country which he sees working better as a state. Why does it work better as a state? because as a state, all of Canada's vast natural resources and critical minerals would be under US control. Spying on allies isn't part of the reality of intelligence work. But when political goals like land acquisition and rare earth mineral access blur into foreign policy objectives, the line between strategic necessity and imperial overreach becomes dangerously thin. This is a case where tactical intelligence may be serving a controversial long-term strategy. While US officials haven't outright denied the reports, their reactions suggest a quiet confirmation. Looking ahead, we can expect increasing international scrutiny on Arctic affairs, particularly as climate change opens up new access routes and resource extraction becomes more viable. The current situation between Greenland and the United States is a cautionary tale for Canada going forward. Independence movements and provinces of Canada might be capturing the attention of US intelligence agencies, and this might prove advantageous for an American administration seemingly obsessed with taking over Canada. Denmark isn't the only country concerned over recent actions by US intelligence. For our next story, we delve into the escalating intelligence tensions between the United States and China. We'll discuss China's recent warning against what it terms as infiltration and sabotage by foreign forces following the CIA's release of recruitment videos targeting Chinese officials. This development underscores the intensifying espionage dynamics between these two global powers. The CIA recently released 2 Mandarin language videos aimed at encouraging Chinese officials to share classified information. These videos depict fictional scenarios where Chinese officials, disillusioned with their system, decide to collaborate with the CIA. In response, China's foreign ministry condemned the videos as blatant attempts to steal secrets and a serious violation of its national interest. Looking at this through the lens of intelligence, this move, similar to what the CIA tried against Russia a few years back, represents a bold strategy to penetrate one of the most challenging intelligence targets. China's swift and stern response signals just how sensitive and high stakes such operations truly are. This initiative is part of a broader campaign launched in 2024 to recruit informants in countries considered hard targets, like China, Iran, and North Korea, due to their heavy counterintelligence environments. It builds on earlier efforts to recruit Russian informants following the invasion of Ukraine. China, in turn, has been vocal about countering foreign espionage. In recent months, it has publicized multiple cases of individuals allegedly attempting to leak state secrets. These announcements are intended not just to warn, but to deter others and demonstrate resolve. This tit-for-tat dynamic reflects a broader geopolitical rivalry, where intelligence activities are not only ongoing, but increasingly public. Although the CIA hasn't publicly commented on the video's impact, most intelligence professionals agree that overt recruitment efforts like these are risky in a country where surveillance is constant and digital communication are tightly monitored. That said, these operations aren't always about immediate success. They can also serve to plant the seeds of doubt, signal capabilities, and even test reactions. In my experience, this kind of strategy serves several purposes. It aims to attract insiders, unsettle the internal bureaucracy, and signal to other authoritarian regimes that the lengths to which the US is willing to go to gather intelligence. The CIA's recruitment push and China's stern response highlight the ongoing and escalating intelligence contest between these two nations. It's a clear reminder that modern espionage is evolving, not just in methods, but in visibility. Psychological operations and open media campaigns are now tools of influence as much as human agents and encrypted channels. As these global tensions rise, expect more overt intelligence posturing. It's a new and quickly expanding phase in the age-old battle of secrets. Sticking with U.S. intelligence in the news, for our next story, we're examining a significant development concerning the FBI's budget and its implications for national security. The focus is on the recent statements and subsequent reversal by the FBI director regarding the White House's proposed budget cuts to the Bureau. FBI Director Kash Patel initially expressed concerns over the White House's proposal to reduce the FBI's budget by $545 million, suggesting that the Bureau required an additional $1 billion to effectively carry out its operations. However, in a subsequent Senate hearing, he reversed his stance, stating that the FBI would make the mission work with the allocated budget. This reversal is noteworthy as it highlights the tension between operational needs and political considerations. Looking at this from the lens of intelligence collection, budget's allocations directly impact the Bureau's ability to address threats such as violent crime, cyber attacks, and terrorism. The proposed cuts could hinder the FBI's capacity to fill vacant positions and maintain essential programs. The proposed budget cuts are part of a broader initiative by the administration to reduce the federal spending by $163 billion. The FBI's budget reduction is among several cuts targeting various departments. Historically, disagreements between federal agencies and the White House over budget allocations are seldom made public, making this situation particularly unusual. These budget cuts may be perceived by some as a response to such criticisms, further complicating the Bureau's operational landscape. Lawmakers from both parties have expressed concerns about the potential impact of the budget cuts on national security. There is apprehension that reduced funding could compromise the FBI's ability to address critical threats. While agencies must adapt to budgetary constraints, it's imperative that such adjustments do not compromise national security. Ensuring the FBI has the adequate resources is essential for maintaining public safety and addressing evolving threats. As the Bureau navigates these challenges, it's crucial to monitor how these budgetary decisions will affect its ability to safeguard national security. We move on to Germany for our next story, where we're examining a significant development in Germany's domestic intelligence landscape concerning the political party Alternative for Germany, or AfD. Germany's Federal Intelligence Service suspended its classification of the AfD as a right-wing extremist organization pending a court ruling. The agency had previously designated the AfD as a confirmed right-wing extremist group, which would have permitted heightened surveillance, including the use of informants and monitoring communications. However, after a legal challenge was launched by the party in court, the agency paused the classification until a final decision was made. From an intelligence perspective, such classifications are powerful tools used to monitor organizations that may undermine democratic institutions or incite violence. This suspension signals a cautious and measured approach, balancing national security interests with adherence to legal standards and political neutrality. The AfD, founded in 2013, has been associated with anti-immigration rhetoric and has steadily gained support, currently holding a substantial number of seats in the German parliament. The initial extremist designation was based on concerns that elements of the party promote ideologies that threaten Germany's democratic constitutional order. This move is part of a broader trend where intelligence services must navigate growing populist and nationalist movements while maintaining rule of law processes. It reflects an ongoing challenge of distinguishing between legal political dissent and dangerous extremism. AfD leaders welcomed the agency's suspension of the label, framing it as a victory against what they perceive as state overreach. Intelligence officials clarified that this is not the withdrawal of their assessment, but rather a procedural step while the judiciary reviews the matter. In my view, the decision underscores the importance of intelligence services acting within clearly defined legal frameworks, especially when political actors are involved. It also demonstrates how even operational classifications must withstand scrutiny from the judiciary to maintain credibility and democratic legitimacy. The suspension of the AfD's extremist classification highlights the complexities facing democratic intelligence agencies today. As political landscapes evolve, intelligence professionals must remain grounded in law, transparency, and accountability. We travel from Germany to the UK for our next story, where we discuss the disruption of a terror plot aimed at the Israeli embassy in London involving Iranian nationals. UK police recently foiled an attempt by individuals linked to Iran to attack the embassy. The story sheds light on the ongoing threats of international terrorism and the delicate balance of counterterrorism operations in the West. The UK's police and intelligence services managed to arrest 5 Iranian nationals across multiple cities, including Swindon, Stockport, Rockdale, and Manchester. While official sources haven't confirmed the target, the plot is believed to have been focused on the Israeli embassy in London. What's particularly concerning about this case is the involvement of foreign nationals linked to a state actor like Iran. The use of foreign nationals in a plot targeting a foreign embassy in the heart of London highlights the complex nature of modern espionage and terrorist operations. From an intelligence perspective, this incident underscores the growing risk of state-sponsored terrorism and the use of proxies to carry out attacks on foreign soil. The Iranian government has been linked to numerous similar operations worldwide, often targeting the interests of countries it perceives as adversaries. The operation's success in preventing a potential attack is a testament to the effectiveness of the UK intelligence, but it also signals that the threat from state-backed terror cells is far from over. Iran's involvement in state-sponsored terrorism isn't new. The regime has long used proxy groups and agents to target both military and civilian interests abroad. The most high-profile example in recent years was the killing of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani in a U.S. airstrike in 2020, which heightened tensions and prompted retaliatory measures. However, This latest plot, particularly its focus on the Israeli embassy, suggests that Iran continues to use its proxies to challenge Western interests on foreign soil. This may be a response to increasing geopolitical pressures, including sanctions and military actions in the Middle East. This plot also draws attention to the broader issue of embassy security and the vulnerability of diplomatic missions around the world. It is clear that embassies remain high-profile targets for terror groups and hostile states. While UK authorities have not released many specifics about the operation, the fact that the plot was foiled without casualties speaks volumes about the preparedness and the coordination between MI5 and local law enforcement. According to security experts, operations like this require meticulous planning, and the UK's intelligence community deserves credit for its ability to prevent such attacks before they reach fruition. This case demonstrates how intelligence agencies around the world must remain vigilant in tracking the movements and activities of individuals linked to state-sponsored terror groups. It's a reminder of how complex modern espionage and terrorism have become, with actors often acting through proxies to avoid direct accountability. This foiled terror plot targeting the Israeli embassy in London serves as a stark reminder of the ongoing threat of state-sponsored terrorism and foreign interference. It also highlights the critical role of intelligence and law enforcement agencies in preventing these types of attacks. As global tensions continue to rise, especially between Western nations and states like Iran, we can expect to see more of these types of covert operations in the future. It's essential to stay informed and aware of the broader security implications of such events. Move on to Iran for the next section as we continue to delve into the story involving the arrest of the 5 Iranian nationals in the UK in a suspected terror plot. Iran has officially denied any involvement in the alleged plot. British counterterrorism authorities arrested 5 Iranian nationals over the weekend in coordinated raids across England. 4 of the men remain in custody, while 1 has been released on bail under strict conditions. The Metropolitan Police have not publicly confirmed the specific target, citing operational sensitivities, but multiple media reports suggest that the Israeli embassy in Kensington was the intended site. Iran's foreign minister, Saeed Abbas Araghchi, categorically denied any involvement, stating that Iran had not been informed of any allegations through proper diplomatic channels and expressing readiness to assist in any credible investigation. From an intelligence perspective, the incident underscores the persistent threat of state-sponsored or state-linked terrorism. This alleged plot fits into a broader pattern of Iranian-linked activities targeting Israel and Jewish interests in Europe. Since 2022, British intelligence services have reportedly disrupted multiple Iranian-backed plots. The UK's Security Minister, Dan Jarvis, has acknowledged the seriousness of these threats, emphasizing the need for vigilance. The arrests also coincide with heightened tensions in the Middle East, including Israel's intensified military campaign against Iranian-backed militias. Such geopolitical dynamics have ripple effects, manifesting in increased espionage and covert operations abroad. While official details remain limited due to the ongoing investigation, security experts have noted that the sophistication of the alleged plot suggests coordination beyond isolated actors. The involvement of multiple individuals across locations indicates a level of planning consistent with state-directed operations. Drawing from my experience in counterintelligence, such operations often involve extensive surveillance, logistical planning, and the use of clandestine communication methods. The denial by Iranian officials is not unexpected, as state sponsors typically distance themselves from covert activities to avoid international repercussions. As investigations continue, it's crucial to monitor how this incident influences diplomatic relations between the UK and Iran, as well as the broader implications for international security. Sticking with intelligence news out of the United Kingdom, we're discussing a significant development out of Europe. Bulgaria has officially charged 5 individuals suspected of participating in a Russian spy ring. The suspects, including several Bulgarian nationals and a Russian, are accused of gathering information for the Russian government, in a case with cross-border implications involving the UK. At the heart of this case is the accusation that the 5 individuals operated as part of a coordinated Russian espionage cell. The allegations involved not just collecting intelligence, but also transmitting it back to Russia and to Russian handlers. What's noteworthy is the alleged targeting of British interests in the fact that some of these suspects have already been charged in the UK for similar offenses, reinforcing the belief that this was a long-running and well-coordinated operation. From an intelligence standpoint, this illustrates how Russia continues to rely heavily on human intelligence assets, HUMINT, across Europe. These kinds of networks are often built over years and involve individuals who blend seamlessly into local communities, increasing the difficulty of detection. This case is part of a broader pattern of Russian intelligence operations being exposed across Europe since the full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Bulgaria, a NATO and EU member, has expelled dozens of Russian diplomats over espionage concerns in recent years. Likewise, the UK has been cracking down on Russian spy activity, particularly after the Skripal poisoning in Salisbury in 2018. The fact that suspects in the case have ties to a UK-based cell indicates not only a shared objective, but also coordination that transcends national borders. It's another example how Russian espionage efforts in Europe remain aggressive and adaptive. While the article doesn't cite specific intelligence agencies' officials by name, the public statements made by the Bulgarian prosecutors highlight the seriousness of the charges. They suggest that the ring had access to sensitive information and was part of a broader intelligence gathering apparatus. As someone who's worked in counterintelligence, I can tell you that cases like this often reveal only the tip of the iceberg. The true value of this disruption is not just stopping these individuals, but in uncovering the larger networks they connect to, in Moscow and beyond. This case is a reminder that the espionage threat from Russia remains active and dangerous, particularly across NATO countries. Bulgaria's actions and ongoing collaboration with British authorities show a growing determination among allies to root out foreign intelligence threats. Looking forward, we can expect increased vigilance from European security services, more prosecutions, and further diplomatic follow with Russia. For our last story this week, we continue our deep dive into the compelling case involving a sophisticated Bulgarian spy ring operating in the UK, all of whom have been convicted of conducting espionage activities on behalf of the Russian government. The group's operations, methods, and targets offer a revealing look into the modern espionage tactics. Operating from a 33-room former hotel in Great Yarmouth, Norfolk, the spy ring was led by Orlin Roza and included 5 other Bulgarian nationals: Bizar Dzambazov, Ivan Stoyanov, Karen Ivanova, Vanya Gabarova, and Tehomir Ivanchev. Between 2020 and 2023, they conducted surveillance on journalists, diplomats, and Ukrainian military personnel across the UK and Europe. Their methods were both inventive and audacious. They utilized covert surveillance devices hidden in everyday items like children's toys, car keys, and even glasses. The group also possessed fake identifications and uniforms, including those of journalists, UN ambassadors, and couriers to facilitate their operations. Communications between members were conducted via Telegram, using code names such as Jackie Chan, Mad Max, and Jean-Claude Van Damme. They referred to themselves as the Minions, a nod to the animated film characters, but also possibly a play on GRU, Russia's military intelligence agency. Their activities included plans to kidnap or eliminate Kremlin critics, surveillance of a U.S. military base in Germany, and even staging a fake protest outside Kazakhstan's embassy in London to feed disinformation back to Kazakh security services. This case exemplifies the evolving nature of Russian intelligence operations, which have increasingly relied on non-traditional operatives and methods since annexation of Crimea in 2014. By employing individuals without diplomatic cover and utilizing criminal proxies, Russian intelligence agencies have expanded their reach and adaptability. The use of such operatives allows for plausible deniability and reduces the risk of diplomatic fallout. This strategy has been evident in various operations across Europe, including the attempted assassination of Sergei Skripal in the UK and cyber attacks targeting Western institutions. Investigative journalist and Russian security expert Andrei Soldatov commented on this shift in Russian intelligence tactics, noting a move towards more aggressive and adventurous operations using proxies and criminals. He emphasized that these operatives are not traditional spies, but are involved in activities like assassinations and sabotage. This case underscores the importance of robust counterintelligence measures and international cooperation as it relates to the techniques and tactics used by agents of Russian government. The ability of such a network of operatives across multiple countries highlights vulnerabilities that need to be addressed through enhanced intelligence sharing and coordinated responses. The days of watching the actions of employees of a Russian embassy have long passed. This spy ring exemplifies how Russia is utilizing agents who require no regular contact with handlers. They are given their tasking prior to being activated. Once activated, they work without supervision, funding, or regular communication, which obfuscates their actions to the national security apparatus of the host country. In summary, the conviction of this Bulgarian ring reveals the intricate and audacious methods employed in modern espionage. Their operations, directed by a fugitive wanted for financial crimes, demonstrates the blurred lines between state-sponsored intelligence activities and organized crime. Criminal proxies are becoming the agent of choice for the Russian foreign intelligence apparatus. As Western countries continue to confront these challenges, it's imperative domestic national security agencies remain proactive in identifying and countering such threats. Shared case files on these individuals will help to identify if they have any contacts in Canada. Hopefully, our intelligence and federal law enforcement agencies are reaching out to MI5 and the Bulgarian National Intelligence Organizations proactively to determine if there are any leads that can be followed up on Canadian soil. Well, that's going to do it for this week. As always, the links to the stories discussed in this episode are in the transcript. I want to tell my listeners about an upcoming opportunity to grow their knowledge in the world of intelligence. On May 27th, the Pillar Society is sponsoring an event in Ottawa at the Schenkman Center in Orleans. Former director of CSIS, Ward Alcock, will be taking the stage to discuss his 2 terms at the helm of Canada's National Security Service, which span from the end of the Cold War and into the post-9/11 era. This presentation will provide a unique insider's perspective on what that meant for the organization, Canada's national security, and global stability. I will leave a link in the show notes for anyone interested in buying tickets and attending. Until next week, stay curious, stay informed, and stay safe.
That's a wrap for this week's Global Intelligence Weekly Wrap-Up. From Denmark's outrage over US intelligence activities in Greenland, to the CIA's bold recruitment push in China, to the ongoing spy wars unfolding across Europe, each story highlights the shifting realities of modern espionage and national security. Bringing you expert analysis each week takes time, experience, and a deep commitment to shedding light on the intelligence stories that matter. If you found this episode insightful, consider liking, sharing, or leaving a review. It helps more listeners discover the podcast. And if you'd like to support the show further, you can do so through Patreon or Buzzsprout. Whether it's a one-time contribution or ongoing support, every bit helps keep this mission moving forward. You'll find the links in the show notes. Thanks again for listening. And as Neil always says, stay curious, stay informed, and stay safe. See you next week.